From Fox, Christy Larson here at the desk with you as we start almost a new hour. We were listening in just a little bit earlier here today on the very first execution of a prisoner in Arizona after nearly 8 years. And what we want to do is, of course, bring you the latest updates coming to us out of the Phoenix area. Is Fox 10's Troy Hayden. He is joining me here live on Live Now from Fox. Troy, you were one of those witnesses there today. What happened? What was the procedure like when he got that lethal injection?
Well, the execution of Clarence Dixon is complete. It went as planned, which I'm sure is welcome news to the state of Arizona because, as you mentioned, we haven't had an execution in 8 years. The last one was Joseph Wood, and that execution didn't go as planned. It took about 2 hours. So they switched drugs. They went to something called a pentobarbital, and it appeared to work effectively as it was designed. So I'm going to have you take a look behind me. This is the old Florence Central Unit at Florence Prison down here in Florence. It's our oldest prison here in Arizona. It's the main one. They've actually cleared that entire central unit out, so there are no inmates today in there except for Dixon when we were in there. So as you said, I was a witness, so I was able to walk inside, and once we got into the death chamber, there was something new. We were able to see for the first time the actual IVs being inserted into the inmate. Before, you would walk in there and the IVs would already be in, but there was a court order that the witnesses should see that happening, and we did. They did have some trouble getting the IVs into Dixon in his left arm. They took a couple different attempts in the left arm. Those did not work. They then switched to the right arm, so that one did work for one IV, and the second IV was put into his groin of his right leg. So at 10:13 this morning, the IVs were in. At 10:17, the deputy or the warden, Randy Carr, walked in and read the death warrant, and he was given an opportunity to say his last words. And basically what he said, Dixon, was that he was innocent. He says he does always proclaim as innocent, and then he said, "Let's finish this bleep," and that was the S word. I'm not going to read it to you here. I will say, as they were putting the IVs in, he berated the doctors the whole time, was talking to them, and we could hear him talking for the first time because they actually put a microphone on his chest, and that is something that hadn't been done before. At 10:19, the drugs went into his system, and at 10:22, I noticed his mouth kind of went slack and open, and his chest stopped going up and down, so just 3 minutes later. At 10:27, the doctor came in and checked him, and at 10:30, basically they said the execution was complete. The warden said that. So with all of that said, the execution did go as scheduled and as planned, and we are here today not so much because of Clarence Dixon, but because of Deana Bowdoin, who was a 21-year-old ASU student, only 8 hours away from graduating. She had her whole life ahead of her, and Dixon was living in an apartment across the street from her, walked across the street after she got home late one night and raped and murdered her, and today he paid for his crime. Deana's sister, and this was back in 1978. Think about that, 1978. So it took this long for justice to be carried out here. So Deana's sister got up and spoke today. She said it did not bring her closure, Christy. It brought her finality. So again, justice has been carried out at Florence State Prison. Clarence Dixon has been put to death for the murder of Deana Bowdoin.
And as you mentioned, too, we did hear from the sister as well. I'm sure that while it doesn't bring much closure, it is nice to know that this part is finished at least, and his sentence has been fulfilled.
So he actually wasn't arrested for this crime. It was a cold case crime, and it went unsolved for many years. And he was convicted of raping another young woman, and so they had his DNA on file. So a cold case detective went back and matched that DNA with the DNA found on Deana at the time of her murder. And so then he got a whole trial, and that's when he was convicted. But Deana's sister said that she's been to over 40 different hearings for him over 20 years and was wondering when it would ever end. And so it ended today.
Right, and this is just the 6th inmate to be put to death in the United States this year. As we saw, there were protesters outside, but this is done and finished. Clarence Dixon being executed here today. We do appreciate that update. Fox 10's Troy Hayden joining us here on Live Now from Fox. Thanks so much for your report, Troy.
You got it, Christy.